Introduction. In the 19th century, during the reign of the Tsar of the Romanov dynasty, due to feudalism and serfdom, political, social and economic conditions declined in Russia. This decline led to the Russian Revolution, which is a turning point of history. In this chapter, we will learn why the Russian Revolution started, what was its cause, how Lenin contributed to it, and its significance. Why was the Russian Revolution started? The most important events that led to the Russian Revolution were: 1. Rise of revolutionary thinking. 2. Despotic rule in Russia. 3. Bloody Sunday. 4. Revolt at St. Petersburg. 5. Dissolution of the Duma. 6. The Rasputin issue. Let's learn more about each reason in detail.
Rise of revolutionary thinking. In the midst of 19th century, revolutionary thinking spread in Russia. Russian authors and thinkers such as
Alexandria,
Pushkin, Dostoevsky, Leo Tolstoy, and Maxim Gorky supported liberalism and humanism in their writings. The young university-educated generation realized that they should oppose the political, social, and economic exploitation. Nihilist thinkers wanted an intellectual society with total freedom from government, religion, marriage, and ethics. The communist philosophy of Karl Marx also contributed to the revolution. We will learn about Karl Marx's contribution in detail. Karl Marx, German communist thinker. Karl Marx was a German communist thinker who wrote the famous books Das Kapital and Manifesto of Communism. Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx collectively published the Manifesto of Communism in the year 1848. Marx did a scientific analysis of the human social development and gave a communist doctrine for establishing a social system free from exploitation and social differences. He believed that human society is dynamic and progressive. However, no power beyond human power can bring about change. According to Marx, the roots of change lay in the economic system of a society. With a change in the economic system, there is a change in the political setup and social customs and values. The social level that holds the means of production exploits the poor people. Thus, the groups of haves, that is, who possess the means of production, and haves not, that is, who possess nothing, are created in society. In Russia before the revolution, the Tsar and his supporters were the haves, and workers and poor farmers were the have-nots. The second class is made up of the workers and the poor farmers. The conflict between these two groups gets intensified. Karl Marx appealed that the workers and laborers in the world should get organized for a fundamental social change.
Despotic rule in Russia. Before the revolution, Russia had been under the reign of the Romanov dynasty for 3 centuries. The Russian kings or Tsars were despotic rulers who opposed liberal and progressive ideology. Although Russia had become a strong empire under the reign of the Tsars, they did not pay attention to the internal development and progress of Russia. The industrial development was not good enough to satisfy the needs of the common people. The workers were troubled by the unfavorable conditions created by scanty wages, longer working hours, and insecure and inferior living standards. the Tsar governance always opposed the reformative demands of the workers. This made the trade unions, that is, the workers' organizations, to carry on their activities secretly. Various workers' organizations got united under the political banner of the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party in the year 1898. The farmers also insisted upon more land for farming as the demand for food grain had gone up. Thus, there was a feeling of unrest among the people against Tsar's policy. Bloody Sunday. The drought of 1905 and the 1904-05 war against Japan had made the people helpless. The lost battle against Japan created an anti-Tsar climate, as it had weakened the economy of Russia. The workers, the common people, and the intellectuals of Russia rose under the guidance of Father Gapon in revolt against the royal reign. When the Tsar realized that a big mob of revolutionaries was marching towards the palace, he ran away from the capital. The soldiers of the Tsar attacked the revolting soldiers of the camps. This armed conflict caused a big loss of human life. As this event took place on a Sunday in 1905, it was called the Bloody Sunday. Revolt at St. Petersburg. In the middle of October 1905, Russia witnessed a major workers' strike. The workers' leaders set up a central board in St. Petersburg to direct the workers and create an organized agitation. This was called the St. Petersburg Soviet. As a result, Tsar Nicholas II reassured the workers by publishing the Manifesto of the People in October. According to the manifesto, the people were ensured of the fundamental rights, the right of vote, to hold national elections, and special rights to the National Legislative Council. Dissolution of the Duma. Due to the insistent demand for the establishment of a democratic government in Russia, the first Duma was elected in 1906. As the decisions taken by the Duma were not accepted by the Tsar, the first Duma was dissolved. The second Duma was set up after the re-elections. However, the Tsar dissolved this Duma too on the grounds of differences with its members. But the third Duma became a puppet in the hands of the Tsar. These events contributed towards the revolution. The Rasputin issue. Many people believed that the pitiable condition of Russia during the war was an outcome of the deeds of Tsarina Alexandra and her close advisor Rasputin, who was a Serbian monk. The Tsar too started to follow the advice of Rasputin with regards to key appointments at the court. The courtiers could not tolerate Rasputin's growing importance, and they killed him. What was the cause of the revolution? In January and February 1917, workers and soldiers conducted marches and uprisings to pressurize the Tsar to give up power. Eventually, on 15th March 1917, the Tsar vacated the throne. The moderate leaders formed the provisional government with representatives of landowners, capitalists, industrialists, and business persons. Kerensky, the leader of the moderate Menshevik group, headed the government. Although the provisional government continued the war against Germany in the First World War, the Russian forces did not have sufficient arms and ammunition. So the people lost confidence in the provisional government. Lenin, the Bolshevik leader, under exile in Switzerland, returned to Russia in April 1917. Following a huge conflict between Lenin and Kerensky, the Bolsheviks suspended the Kerensky government on 7th November 1917. As a result, the course of the Russian Revolution came to an end. What was Lenin's contribution? Lenin was a follower of Marxist ideology and believed that unless feudalism, land slavery and the despotic Tsar rule were totally destroyed, there could not be any progress for the Russian people. He terminated capitalism in the field of business and industry. The government sponsored and ran various industries. Private property was confiscated and an equal distribution of the land was done. Lenin also believed that the government must have domination of the working class. Workers were given accommodation, food, clothes, and other facilities instead of wages in money. Thus, a communist government was formed in Russia on a war footing, that is, war communism. Lenin's New Economic Policy, or NEP. Lenin announced a new economic policy which consisted of both privatization and nationalization. Private industry, business and property were only allowed to a limited extent. This policy of Lenin was opposed by the extremist communist leaders. The new economic policy caused a big increase in agricultural and industrial production. The private industries that were allowed to form could buy and sell their products in the open market. However, transportation and external trade were kept under a total control of the government. Significance of Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution is significant because it was the first revolution inspired by Marxian philosophy. The worker class became important due to this revolution. It gave the world a direction in bringing about social development through economic planning. It was an attempt at creating a social order without religion, class, and exploitation. The concept of welfare state was accepted everywhere in the world. The message of a total freedom from all sorts of restrictions was given. This event ushered in a new era of fundamental change in the political, social, economic, cultural, and scientific fields of Russia. Russia became a potential rival for America. This revolution was followed by communist revolutions in other countries.